welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Coming off a massive win against the San Jose Sharks. But of course, there's so much more to talk about today. As everybody wants to talk, Bo Horvat and Dylan Larkin. And Mike, it's already in the chat. Danimals is aboard. I'm not sold on Horvat. He's overperforming. Jim should sign with the Wings. 8-year term, $8.5 million, likely front loaded. And then Jim turns in these couple of ditties here. Horvat, 619 games played, 416 points. And Jim's next comment, Larkin, 549 games played, 400 points.
Jim was saving that one.
We're already hot in the comments.
For point number 400 last night. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim, Dan, thanks for coming aboard, dudes. But yeah, I mean, that's we've got that queued up for today. We've got some stuff, like analytics we want to go over for the Horvat and the Larkin conversations. I think we've talked before, Mike, when it comes to like Red Wings prospects, and like how tough it is to find an NHL center. And even the guys, like, you made fun of me a couple of weeks ago. I was kind of telling you, like, hey, look at all these guys who played center, in Europe and in their junior days. And then it's like, well, yeah, but they're not successful NHL centers anymore, or they won't be centers going forward.
It's a little bit like when Ndamukong Suh kicked an extra point. Yeah, he was a kicker, but yeah, ideally you want a kicker. You know what I mean? Not a guy who, suited up once. You want a guy that's his role.
Chewy's aboard. What's going on, Chewy?
Chewy.
Yeah, and I guess the conversation really is just... I mean, it comes back to like Danimals just throws out there. He's not sold on Horvat. Says he's overperforming. The conversation is, what do you think Horvat's going to bring to this team? And do you think I think the national conversation is, sure, you don't necessarily expect Horvat to continue at this clip, but could you fill out a roster in a top 6, one of those lines, and Horvat centering the other? Now, I do want to say, because there's we have our podcast listeners, we have obviously our YouTube audience is slowly growing right now. For all of you listening, so 2 weeks ago we were out because I was so sick I couldn't do it. A week ago we had a hard stop because Matt was sick.
Yes,
that's me again. And now I'm carrying with me a new cold, pink eye from my son. Oh, and I took his earache as well. Yeah. So I've this has been, I told somebody at work, this is the worst January of my life. This is just never ending. And now I just wanted to apologize because I can hear myself and how nasally and disgusting and goopy my voice is right now. Just
wow. I just thought you were getting in the spirit of The Last of Us coming out and being the new best show ever made. So I thought maybe you had some cordyceps, choking your throat and getting in your brain and turning you into a Red Wing zombie. That's what I thought was going on.
God damn, that is the best TV. Like somebody asked me,
I just got HBO Max, Matt, and we were like, oh, we got House of the Dragon. And I watched like an episode. I'm kind of texting, going on Instagram. Something violent happens. I look up like, oh, okay, that was violent. Oh, there's some incest, but I've been here before. And then Last of Us comes on. Like, wow, that is how you use a budget right there. The acting has just been so good. Even though I played the game twice, it's still was thrilling for somebody who knows what's going to happen.
Jim throwing out there. Oh, this is great. I'm glad how I scratched.
Yeah.
Matt, for God's sake, get healthy. Jim, I can't. All right, I got the two
Well, the
kids at
problem,
home.
I blame
They
Jared because he had some well wishing for me to get healthy, and he wasted it on me. I was already feeling good, and we should have sent it Matt's way. So
Mike
Jared's still
just got
feeling great.
healthier.
Yeah, I'm thriving right now.
Here's what
Deer steak
happens.
coursing through my veins. Yeah, feeling good. Yeah.
I've got kids in separate daycare classes, so they'll bring home separate diseases and viruses and fungi
Oh,
from their respective classrooms. Plus, my wife's a doctor, so she loves bringing home stuff. It's like
survive, man. Your immune system would be incredible.
I wish. I mean, maybe I should be dead right now, and I'm fighting through it. Um, I was gonna say, just for any podcast listeners out there, that the Last of Us podcast that goes over each episode, I usually
Yeah,
hate that kind of stuff.
yeah.
It's real good. Highly recommend it. It's like an hour to 30 minutes per episode, so you get some insight. And I'm so in love with that show right now.
Make sure you DM them so they send some traffic our way too. Like,
Yeah, for
we
sure.
hope you're enjoying this zombie podcast. If you just want to talk a little niche Red Wing hockey, you got a Red Wings Rant over there on Spotify and YouTube.
All right.
But we
So,
got to get into this, man.
Yeah, here let's go back into the order of the slides here. So we already mentioned we did some light Horvat Larkin conversation, and that's really what everybody wants to talk about. But Mike, we're a week removed from taking a huge ruddy dump all up and down Andrew Copp's chest. And Mike, damn it all to hell, I would put in a guess he listens to the show because he took it to heart. He was upset about what we said last week when we showed off his numbers and we suggested maybe it wasn't such a good idea to give him all the minutes he was getting.
He really regretted that subscription, and then it felt like it really inspired him to start playing a lot better, Matt. And lo and behold, he got a game winner last night.
I mean, to like summarize everything, to re-summarize, I think what we landed on was we're not like saying Copp is done. We're not giving up. We weren't giving up on Copp. We were just challenging the whole idea that the forcing him to be in the top six when his numbers clearly showed
they don't justify that spot. Yeah.
Right. Actually, you know what? I think I still queued that stuff up for us. Yeah. I mean the expected goals against per 60 was 3.03, and what we threw out there most of the time, he's not starting in the offensive zone. So his zone start in the neutral zone or the defensive zone. So he's starting at either, again, neutral or at a deficit. So yeah, that would make sense. But actually the entire team has that average. So that's kind of like one of the points I want to bring up today, and why I think Andrew Copp, as we keep, again, we showed a picture. People listening to the podcast don't even know what we transitioned to, but we showed a picture of Andrew Copp, of course, celebrating his overtime winning goal. Now we're showing the charts. Again, Andrew Copp only bested by Adam Ernie and Robbie Fabry in regards to the
18th best.
Right. Yeah. the worst of Detroit skaters when it comes to expected goals for percentage, but still by a couple of names too. Andrew Copp is beat out for expected goals against per 60, which again bothered me because the whole argument was, well, he's not an offensive guy, he's a defensive guy. So what happened last night, Mike, to give Andrew Copp an 82.95 expected goals for percentage? And look at this expected goals for per 60. Mike, if we had just put Andrew Copp out there for 60 minutes, he would have put up 8 goals last night and only given up the 1.62. It's
pretty impressive. Insane. I like it a lot. I think we extend that contract.
We do have to jump in the comments here too, because we do. I have a couple more things I want to discuss in regards to the success last night from Andrew Copp. And again, one of the best games of the season.
Contextually, please remember, Ben Sherratt also had incredible numbers last night.
He did. Jim says, in regards to me being sick and my wife,
hey, no,
doctor, hey, Matt, maybe your wife needs to give you more of an examination. Believe me, I've tried.
He is sending that message to his wife right now, Jim. So appreciate you helping him out there.
All right, now Chewy. I've got an inner ear infection, stuffed nose, scratchy throat, diaphragm muscle strain. Fun. Chewy, we're dealing with the same stuff.
It's not a contest, Chewy. Stop getting more symptoms. Get healthy, buddy.
I wonder if something is just going around now that we're carrying the same thing. Blake, 1991. There are 8 centers in the league right now. I would take over Larkin. Crosby, Stamkos, Austin Matthews, Draisaitl, McDavid, Barkov, McKinnon, and maybe Elias Pettersson. Can I point out real quick my big case for Bo is Larkin sticks around. In no way, shape, or form would that be a victory for us to just go 1-for-1. I think that's the silliest thing. Elliot Friedman keeps pointing that out on 32 Thoughts.
The only way you
Elliot Friedman.
No, I was going to say, the only way you entertain that idea is if Larkin went up to Iceman and said, I'm fucking done. I can't do this anymore. Then you move him. But outside of that very dramatic exchange, no, it makes zero sense.
Performance art. Crosby? Nah.
You got more cups than Larky.
It is. I mean, Blake, it is an interesting conversation if you're saying right now you would trade Larkin for Crosby 1-for-1, especially one of those guys being at the end of their career. But I'm guessing you mean in their prime. But
well, I'll say no. I'm gonna say even today.
Even today, you would take Sidney Crosby. What are you gonna get from that? He's barely pulling his Penguins into the playoffs.
Well, I
think
I would have the center who's barely got his team outside the playoffs. So at least I get to watch hockey for another month.
Performance art with the best point on all those centers. None of those centers are available. That's it's a pretty good point there. Performance art. All right, now back to Andrew Copp. Now that we've, I never get to do that anymore. I ran through all the comments there. Back to Andrew Copp, Mike. This is something I wanted to share with you guys. Was what I thought the big difference was last night, and I was already talking about zone starts, Mike, and between offensive zone starts, neutral zone starts, defensive zone starts, and then of course there's on the fly zone starts. That was 50% of the time that our boy Andrew Copp was starting his shift. Was on the fly. But one of the very rare times this season, if you want to take just from the face-off, offensive, neutral, defensive zone, Andrew Copp most of the time was coming offensive zone first. And that coincided with maybe his best game of the season. Now, the numbers look amazing, and Copp really did look good on the offensive side of the puck. And, gosh, all season I've been told this is a defensive forward. But goddamn, did he look really good. And I don't think, this is what we want to talk about, too. I told you, the entire season. I think maybe I pulled that. The entire season, everybody is around 10% for the Detroit Red Wings offensive zone starts. That's not really out of the ordinary, but it's not. There are higher numbers across the league. So the Red Wings most of the time are starting in the deficit, neutral zone, or further back. That's the whole team. And especially for Andrew Copp right here, who's 19% of the time starting from the neutral zone, 11% of the time starting from the defensive zone. Again, we're saying last night, 25% of the time he was starting from the offensive zone, as opposed to his normal. I know this is so silly because I just keep throwing out number after number, but opposed to his normal of 11%. So, Mike Copperboy, I think it's more accurate. We got to come back to the two-way forward conversation. Because when he gets those more offensive zone opportunities, he looks like a threat. And when he has been focused as a defensive zone specialist or neutral zone or defensive zone deficit starting point, It doesn't like he's not coming back and getting the puck out of the zone, or at least when he's on the ice, the lines that have been built around him aren't getting the puck out of the zone. And that's just been, like we mentioned last week in the numbers we showed earlier. Some people want to say, gosh darn it, he's coming back from that core injury. Well, that's why we took a very small sample from like the last few weeks, and it was still the same result. What was the big change over last night? Well, one, we played the San Jose Sharks, and that's why most of the time we could start in the offensive zone. That was very different for the Detroit Red Wings and their trends so far this season. I mean, looking at this list right now, it's the highest one is Pius Suter at 14%, Michael Rasmussen 14%. Those are your highest percentages for offensive zones, and of course, more than half the time you're starting on the fly. So I want to give you guys that context there. So Andrew Copp starting at 11% doesn't mean like there's other players on the team that are getting like 20, 30%. But I do think it's worth the conversation. It's worth acknowledging that when Copp gets more offensive opportunities, I think we were all tweeting last night, holy crap, this is the Andrew Copp we thought we were getting. Now, it's one game.
Let's just remember it was San Jose Sharks. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's basically playing against his peers, right? In terms of what a number 2 center looks like. And
he beat him.
I could beat a San Jose Sharks 2-line center. Yes. Okay. No, I don't know. I don't want to trash it. I'm still of the opinion that he's, still. It's a really tough injury getting over like core surgeries. It's incredibly tough. We talked about it last episode. Transcends through other sports where you look easily 30 to 40% less effective than you normally are, just doing not even like superstar moves, just like everyday, skating, striding, looking to make a pass. But it also feels like one other thing that we got to touch on is it's not that Copp is the worst player of all time. That's, this show we've never made that argument. At least I haven't, Matt. I know you've been on his case a little bit more than I have. I think that he's got to be in a spot to succeed. So I think it's a little bit easier to see that against the San Jose Sharks, who are cellar dwellers. But man, oh man, would he be excellent as a third line center? And I don't know how many more slides we got to hit before we get back into Bo Horvat and what a difference that could make. Or if that is another, guy in a contract year, about to Steven Weiss us out of some cap money.
Could be.
I mean, I don't own any Bo Horvat bobbleheads or jerseys. He's got one season now that's, a little over halfway done. And he's barely a point a night guy, which is, good. But, he's never really done that before. He's 27, going to be turning 28. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping into Bo Horvat already. But I just want to make the point that Copp, I think he'd be at his best one more line down, playing against guys that are kind of more his speed.
As the guy who's been more tough on Copp, it comes back to the conversation and how I tried to summarize it when we started this was like, for the life of me, I don't hate Copp, and I'm not giving up on him. This wasn't like that. In no way is that part of the conversation. But I started to wonder, like, what were we doing forcing it if we could see from an analytics perspective that he was bringing a deficit for the Red Wings and their ability to produce every game. I mean, he was so far down in the basement. Again, everybody could say what they wanted about, look, he's coming back from a core injury. That was what I was challenging. It's like, okay, coming back from a core injury, what the hell is this guy doing out there on our top 6? Like, let's pull it back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this was last night, and we'll get into Mike.
We'll do our best to mute this one too.
I swear there's going to be no sound this time. But this is right off the face-off. I mean, you get the face-off win, right? And then we are saying too, like I did want to make sure part of the conversation, like it's not like that was a high skill goal. that was the result of a guy playing one of his best games of the season, and that was his reward. That was a guy who was sniffing the puck, like sniffing out the puck all night, and doing his best to create chances and get pucks on net. And when you do that all night, eventually things are going to roll your way, and that one did. And I did want to make sure that was part of the conversation. And if this is the Andrew Copp that we're getting, like if he's, I think some people, I don't know if they're speaking out of turn because, I mean, statistically it wasn't there these last few weeks, but people have been saying they're noticing a faster Andrew Copp. I think it's easy to make that comment last night after I think he had one of the best games of the season. It's like, why weren't you saying this weeks ago? But anyway, if that actually is true, oh God, no, I shared sound. It's blaring on my side.
We can't hear it over here. You're good.
All right, cool. But anyway,
I mean, listen, we do want to give Copp some credit. We do want to give him some credit, right? But I also, I'm just reminded of it based on that highlight. That was also kind of a coattails game because Rasmussen had one of his better games of the season too. So even on that goal, he took the goalie's attention and all three Sharks with him, and just kind of standing over there at the gate, going, "Hey, I'll put one in over here. Thanks, bud."
Yeah. If you had to pick a line mate last night, especially on the 3-on-3 situation, I feel like everybody was kicking a door down to get Ras.
Yeah, he definitely showed off his girth last night. He was extra girthy against San Jose. They didn't really have an answer for him.
Dan was thrown out there. I'm not worried about Copp, but that last game, he just blindly made a center pass in the O-zone and threw away possession. Facepalm.
Facepalm. Yeah.
Oh, Jim thrown out there. So this was 6 minutes ago, Mike. Ras was great last night. Great. Performance art, is there coming in, Mike, because you were coming in hot with the Horvat stuff, is there a world where Larkin actually gets traded? I really don't think that contract is happening, and we'll talk about it here in a second. Craig throws out there, he agrees with the second and third line center conversation with Copp. Jim throws out there Horvat's face-off win percentage, 56%. Chewy throws out there, my transplant surgery was just rough for the 10 vertical incision and rebuild my core, and I wasn't an athlete. I feel for Copp and Larkin. Copp this year, Larkin last year.
The previous year, yeah.
Man. Chewy, we're gonna have to do an interview to see what your recovery was like for that. Performance art, throwing out a new conversation. I think Husso is burning out. I think.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna say that second goal was a little rough-ski as far as not getting the leg pad out there and just kind of banging away on the ankle. Although I did very much appreciate that goal since Timo Meier's on my fantasy team. So hey, thank you, Husso, for helping me out last night.
Man, I saw his player card from JFresh. He's at like 97% this year. His WAR.
That's a guy. He's in a contract year too.
Oh, that's true. That was some of the fun I was having earlier today. Was like, all right, if we get Horvat, what are the next steps? Because again,
get Timo Meier. Yeah,
right, exactly. Jim thrown out there, Larkin's face-off win, 54%. I don't think there's a Horvat coming to the Red Wings situation that also includes losing Larkin. I think it's less than a wash. Does that make sense? So I think we're in the negative at that point if we're losing Larkin, gaining Horvat. I think there's a lot.
I mean, we're losing that trade unless they're thrown in like first-round picks for the next couple seasons.
Just anyway, like even if it was like, all right, well, we have Horvat, so if Larkin doesn't sign for what we want him to sign for, he's walking in free agency, which I think is even less likely than a trade. But I'm just saying in any fashion that this is plus Horvat minus Larkin, we're losing. So I do want to stress that's...
I don't think that Yzerman would trade for another guy whose contract you got to figure out.
What?
I thought Horvat was up this season.
I'm sorry. I missed what you said.
His contract.
Yeah.
Isn't it up this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think... No, not Larkin. Horvat.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he's not.
Horvat's
It's not
contract is
improving the
up.
situation. It's a lateral. That's a declining move for a lesser player, and you still have to figure out a contract. So no, I don't. I don't see any smoke in that area. No.
Somebody pointed out on the Athletic Hockey podcast that he grew up a Red Wings fan.
No. Oh, yeah, we
So
all did when they
maybe
were awesome in 1998. I mean, come
very
on, man.
true. But then he also gets to do contract negotiations with the captain of that team. How cool is that? All right. All right. So I was trying to make this transition, but Dylan Larkin gets his 400th career point last night. Okay. Real
You ever
quick.
go? You guys ever go fishing and you get like your third minnow, and your parents are like, "Hey, hold it up, hold it up." You're like, "I don't. Please don't put this on any. Don't please. No one wants to look at this." That's allowed. I think Larkin got his 400th minnow. He looks very thrilled in that photo, man.
I think he looks pretty happy when I saw that. We've talked about those stories before where I've talked with people who were at a party that Dylan was at, and the
Yeah.
whole time Dylan sat in the corner with his arms crossed and he didn't talk to anybody. Which, I mean, that's how I operate in parties too. So don't blame him
Question.
for that.
Behind him, is that a tiny hotel bottle size alcohol or baby oil?
Those are both waters.
I think we need to enhance that photo.
I recognize that bottle of water from a mile away. Those
Okay.
are
I think it's a couple of bottles of baby
mid-range
oil, and
bottles
they're
of
getting
water.
him all lubed up for his 400th point. Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it deserves a minnow on the fishing line photo, but we got bigger fish to fry. I
Well,
just
hold,
think that this guy doesn't
hold
really
on.
give a hoot about it, and it's time to win some playoff games, man.
Let
I
me
mean, I think it's nice
let me
for
say
2
this.
seconds. It's nice for 2 seconds, but
Hold up. Give me a second. I wanted to bring up this picture for a reason.
yeah.
I've been very critical of
Is
those
it because
very crappy.
Fabry moved his locker over to Larkin to try and look cool?
Yeah.
Is that why?
I've been very critical of those what I think are very lazy. Whether you want to talk about the original barber pole or this reverse retro jersey, I do not like them.
Oh,
I think it's very lazy. I
okay.
like this sweatshirt. I don't know what it is. It's just a red sweatshirt that says Detroit across the front, and it's got a black string. And I would right now, if the inside of that hood is black, I'm gonna buy one. That is pretty sweet. I really like that sweatshirt. I don't remember seeing this when we were going over all the extra apparel. I thought there was like a gray one. Chewy, what did you get? I think we
I
hooked a
feel
brother
like
up.
they photoshopped something out of the sweatshirt. That's what it looks like to me. Like it's really bare.
Oh my god, this is great. Right.
Oh, Jared! Yes, my man. Jared, we are vibing, my man. First he sent me all the good health, and now we're calling out the Photoshop, my man.
Yeah, Chewy says his
Yes.
sweatshirt was gray. But I want
Oh.
this red one with the black hood and the black string. Is this like when
Matt
nobody's gonna relate?
also wants to be photoshopped in front of Larkin's locker. So both of those.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I had fun with that. Any hoozles. There's your boy, Mike.
Holla.
91% projected WAR, even with. Look at this.
Wow. Did you know he could also play
2021.
left wing, Matt?
Huh?
Did you know he could also play left wing?
Yeah, I did. Did you?
Just saying, everybody's a center, everybody's a wing. All right, go ahead.
I don't know if you remember when Alexander Ovechkin was winning. What did they do? The first team All Star. He won the left wing and the right wing. People are so stupid. Like, even hockey sports reporters don't watch hockey. The guys who vote on the awards don't watch hockey. Any hoozles. Yeah, good player card. We know this, right?
Pretty good.
All right. So here we are. Here's our rumors for Dylan. I want to start with the top one. Mike, I didn't label them, so I get to jump in here and introduce each one to you.
Ooh.
I guess you're going to know which one Dave Pegnota's is.
That one is from his Twitter account, Matt. But the other two, I'm going in blind. Yeah.
All right. Bottom one, we'll do this one first because this is like the actual news. Comes from M Lives. This is Ansar Khan. Didn't label any sources, but they have agreed, Mike, the two sides. If you're not familiar, there's one side's Dylan Larkin, the other side's the Detroit Red Wings.
Got it.
Maximum 8-year term. They remain apart on the AAV, the average annual value.
Well,
Red Wings want him at $8 million. Larkin's camp eyeing closer to $9 million, and a couple parties online without marking any sources said 9.5 million. I think the deal's getting done, and I think it's getting done sooner rather than later. The Red Wings themselves were called out to say once the All-Star break happens, they're going to get deeper into negotiations, and I think I'll say this. I think they're really close, and when we're going to talk about Bo Horvat, and I want to make sure Larkin's on the team, I would rather the Larkin, I almost said Bo Horvat, I would rather the Larkin contract was signed before we picked up Bo, if we picked up Bo. Also not saying I need that to happen for the Red Wings to be successful, but if we did pick up Bo, I don't want it to be leverage that Steve Yzerman uses to make Larkin sad.
If this is true, I don't know who's leaking this stuff, but if this is true, Matt.
Breaking.
What?
Nobody
that is breaking news. Jared confirmed. Thanks, Jared. Photoshopped hoodie not available yet. Jared, if you want to Photoshop it into the shop, that might work. So the sides have agreed on the maximum 8-year term. I was just getting my thoughts back. Oh, yeah, if this is true, if this is an actual leak of what's actually happening, this is hilarious to me because the Red Wings are going to look like superstars if they give him a little bump closer to that 9 million, because I think we talked about how important he is to this team, culture-wise, leadership-wise, locker room-wise, point-wise, defensive-wise, offensive-wise, neutral zone, whatever part of the ice you want, anything Red Wing related. You cannot let this guy leave unless you want to set the whole franchise back 8 to 10 years. So for him to just say, yeah, I'm good at like 9, and we know that the cap is going to go up, and I think there's a lot of worlds where you could justify him getting around 10 million and more. This is an absolute win for this team, and I think it's part of the reason when they probably put a number on a contract and shot it over to the agent in a fax. I think they still fax.
Yeah.
They when Larkin didn't laugh it off the table, they probably looked at each other like, "Whoa, we can make some moves happen." So this makes me feel more confident about us being buyers at the deadline. Because I think they would have punted if he was looking for a bigger number.
Oh man,
this is actually if this is true, this is gargantuan news to me because it tells me we're going to be buyers at the deadline.
Well, I'm pulling up one of our buddies here because we've talked about his contract before, and I figured it was worth mentioning again. It's worth those comparisons that we've already talked about. We've already talked about Dylan Larkin having the 91% projected WAR percentage for the rest of the season, and his counterpart from his own agent, Matt Barzal, who's running with that 9. JFresh here has it at 9.2. It's at 9.125 mil. It's at a 72% projected WAR. If you want to go by advanced analytics to compare two guys, one of them is much better than the other, and that would be Dylan. And if Dylan walks away with 8 years and less than Matthew Barzal, Mike, that's how the Tampa Bay Lightning got built. I mean, I remember when we were discussing Steven Stamkos coming over to the Red Wings, reading in the paper that he took less to stay with Tampa compared to what the Red Wings would have offered to bring him over to Detroit, which then brought the conversation, like for us as Red Wings fans, we were like, oh wow, we are not a destination at all.
Right.
But we've seen some things that Steve has done that have put some question marks up, raised some eyebrows regarding like some of the free agent acquisitions. And again, I think the easy one to point to is Ben Sherratt. But this would be a huge win. this would be something on our side. This would be this is back to the Iser plan. I would just caution everyone not to get too Iser planny, or else you feel like the guy who made the top comment. When we talk about the hat, Mike, you know what? This is your job. I need you to put a guess out there. Who made this comment? When we talk about hashtag Iser plan, you're all in or not. No gray. So first of all, anything you're hearing that doesn't come out of Steve Yzerman's mouth himself. Oh, I gave it away. Or if I didn't hear from Chris Draper, my good buddy, or somebody next to him, I don't put too much stock into it. Although the term seems to be agreed upon. I love that part's in there, which I think is going to be a big deal.
I mean, is this a former
former guest of the show?
Former guest of the show? Big fan of the lettuce, if you will.
Mm-hmm. You're on track.
Oh, part of the grind line, huh?
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Oh,
that's our boy Darren McCarty. Now, Mike, I brought this up, and I wanted to bring it up in the conversation. I think the ship has sailed, Mike. I think we could give up on Darren McCarty being a trustworthy source of not necessarily any information on Dylan Larkin, but this comment is so insane to me. Like, we talked about it when he was on our show, and he said, just trust the Iser plan. There's zero accountability that needs to be held in that front office. I think we're done, right? Like, we're good. This is insane to me. There's no gray. There's no middle ground. You either love Ben Sherratt or you fucking hate Steve Yzerman's guts. It's like, that's it. There's no middle. I just thought this was insane. I wanted to bring it up. But this is also another little ditty in regards to Dylan Larkin and the rumors. And Dave Pagnotta throws out there, this gets back to like the numbers, but there's a sizable gap. And if you listen to Pagnotta's video that this tweet was attached to, he says that Dylan Larkin's camp, Mike, was not happy. Uh-oh. Mike, that's a super weak statement for that to mean too much. But Dave puts it out there.
What do we know the timeline of David, and then was it Prashanth on the bottom?
No, that was Ansar Khan.
Ansar and David. Which one's more recent?
I believe Ansar came out the day after Dave's little rant online. It wasn't really a rant.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if the second one came after, even if it came before, I don't know how I feel about David. I mean, I'm sorry. If that's the neighborhood and they're unhappy about it being a little bit under 9, it's silly. I mean, this is a home run for the Red Wings if they sign this guy around 9 and lower. They win. They win the contract negotiation. That's an incredible bargain for a first line center who's so rooted in this community. It would be a franchise travesty to let him go. This is a home run. So that is, for me, there's no smoke with David. There's no way they're upset. If this is what they're guessing at, if it was 8 and 13, yeah, they'd probably be pretty upset, right? Larkin's camp saying, whoa, I mean, we know the cap's going up, and look at my numbers, and this team stinks, and you don't surround me with any good players. That would be, whoa, okay, now we're in trouble, and I'd start to believe it. But if it's quibbling over hundreds of thousands, either, being adjacent to a lake here in Waterford or on the lake, I think they're going to figure it out.
We do have more breaking news to pretty much make the Bo Horvat trade official. Jim Johnson letting us know that the Wings acquired Sergachev and Timo, a 3-way trade. And this of course, he labeled from Elliot Friedman. I like it. Mike, we've got we've just basically taken the whole team and moved him down.
Why?
Anybody below that?
Why is Tampa giving up Sergachev? I forgive me. What is that?
What are we doing? Well,
Is
we're
Elliot
we're
Friedman
upgrading.
just drunk tweeting? What is this?
No. Jim's kidding.
Okay, so I was like, what?
I'm sorry. I thought for sure you. I thought I set it up. I thought I laid it on so
I
thick.
know this league is bananas sometimes, but
All right. I think it's time we all need a breather, and we'll be gone
All right.
for a minute and 8 seconds. We'll be right
I got to reset
back.
after that trade, Jim.
Whew.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
sorry about that. For anybody that got really excited, that was a Jim joke. Unless maybe I should go to Twitter right now and I'm missing something huge.
All right,
But,
let's all check our tweets, and then we'll come back after
you guys have a
these
minute
messages.
to check your tweets. 4 NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, and only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Not a new customer? You could feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. NFC, AFC championship games, guys. I know they're can't miss for me. You want to add a little more juice this weekend? You know what to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And we're back.
Ooh, we got
Hey,
the
wait
Bo
a minute.
Horvat slide up.
Wait a minute, that's Bo Horvat. What's he doing up here?
That's a going to be a second liner in Detroit.
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Woo!
I mean, there's so much to this conversation about Bo, and I don't know why I said it like that. Boo, about Boo.
I know. I thought I was talking to Kenny Omega for a second. Without further ado,
and it's not just to the end that right now that reported from Donnie and Dali, that the number 1 and number 2 teams, I guess he didn't really put them in order. Looking at Bo right now are Boston and Detroit. Clearly, one of those teams is eyeing a Stanley Cup as they roll through the entire NHL right now, and they wonder, what else could we do to this league? And the other team would probably be looking for that sign and trade opportunity, which, of course, I don't know if Boston necessarily is looking for that, and the Horvat option doesn't really go away if he goes to Boston, because there's a pretty good chance he'll still hit the free agent market at that point. Is that somebody that I'm like, all right, game changer? I think I compared to this past season, Mike, if you just took out Andrew Copp, which we all agreed, like, the Red Wings needed to look at a center, and we were talking about Vincent Trocheck. Andrew Copp came aboard. We were like, okay, Michigan boy, he's a great two-way center, and we were like, I'm all about it. Let's do it. I think if you sign Bo Horvat to that same, well, yeah, if you sign him to the same contract, holy shit, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. You're spending more on Bo Horvat, but considerably more. I think he's already declined an $8 million per year option from Vancouver.
Oof.
But
I wouldn't say that I don't think that he thinks that he's $9 million. I think he's rejecting an $8 million a year from Vancouver.
That is also very true. But what the final kind of thought here was just going to be, that is the kind of thing where I'm going to sit up in my chair. And I think right now, if you guys thought about the conversation that way, that the Red Wings did make a huge splash in free agency, and that, to me, that's like a huge upgrade, especially like if Larkin is signed and the conversation is turning to this, oh my God, we have a guy that's been you have a 1B and a 1B. I heard that described last week. I think it was Ryan Lambert on Puck Soup, and they were saying, like, there's a difference between signing Bo Horvat and thinking like You know what? This is similar too to the conversation we had with Max Boltman, where like when you sign players to specific spots on teams, it's more effective depending on where they're going to land. And I felt like I never got that point across. But if you're signing Bo Horvat because you need to fill your number one center role, and then everything else is filling out underneath it, I think that's like a thing to be less excited about. I feel like that's where Pavel Datsyuk is leaving, and you need to replace, as we dealt with in our Weissy and Nielsen days, more Nielsen in that conversation. But this would be something where if you have Larkin inked and you're talking about a conversation of your top six is going to be good at center, because Larkin's your 1C, Bo's your 2C. Season goes along and one starts to stand out above the other. One can have more minutes, but that is a positive conversation. That's an upgrade, I would think, to your team.
I think the toughest part about trading for Horvat is knowing he's going to be a free agent. This, like Prashanth makes the comment about, you'll be a better team, but how much better a team will you be? Like, will you be able to leapfrog enough teams to make this, a playoff season? And when you get in the playoffs, are you even going to win any games? So I think in that regard, knowing how much Yzerman values, the guys that he's handpicked in drafts and draft picks specifically, if they're going to give up, on Horvat, I don't know. I think I would be pretty surprised to see the Red Wings make that move, and I feel like they would rather be patient and see if they can sign him in the offseason, even though it is putting in that risk of him being seduced by other teams, and you don't really get to have him, get his feet wet here, playing the last quarter of the season in Detroit.
Does anybody know the rules on when like a team allows their player to negotiate with their future trade partner?
I don't. Well, it's not the player reaching out; it's their agent doing it for them. You know what I mean? Like kind of figuring out what you'd be doing, city-wise, team-wise, role-wise, showing interest.
I know that Bo doesn't call Steve and say, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about this on my new contract."
Well, that's what it is. It's the agent reaching out. So he uses him as an intermediary. Well, you're so insulted. I'm just saying that's what happens.
I'm just all right. So when the agent calls, not Bo Horvat, when the agent picks up his phone mic and dials those numbers, now that we're all on the same page now.
Okay.
I wonder, are these conversations monitored? Is there a conversation that could be had of what are your plans for the future? Like what, you know what I mean? Like how in depth can these conversations go? Are they just you could call them, you could talk about whatever the hell you want, and you could take any chance you want on whatever I'm about to say. It has nothing. I'm just throwing that out there as a point of conversation. I'm not.
I don't understand your concern. Are you worried about do you think that's a tampering thing, or that you're limited in the conversation?
Once they're given permission, it would just be interesting to find out that Steve was like, well, yeah, we talked to him. He said he was going to hit the free agent market, and then we hooked ourselves up later on without any cost. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't a point brought up by the Athletic Hockey Show that he's a Red Wings fan. I'm being a silly heart. We don't have to put too much thought into this. I was trying to have fun.
No, I mean, I feel like they write stuff like that, just to get some more clicks on people who subscribe to The Athletic and read Detroit Red Wing articles. So it, gets the clicks up on that one.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
I'm just saying, I don't know if there's a lot to that. I mean, I see what you're getting at. Where
thing, just
I see what you're getting at.
Steve's always playing 4D chess. He's just
like when he signs Ben Sherratt. Yeah, it's 60 chess. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, what dimension is he good at hockey? So
Now,
yeah,
Jared throws out there, anyone else think Matt is quite a bit
quieter,
quieter?
quieter.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm
Well,
also a very loud person, so that could be contributing. And Matt is sick, Jared. We have been over this a couple times today. Your healing powers were directed at the wrong brother.
um, what else do we have on here?
What do the comments say? Do people think that they want to give up Red Wing assets for Bo Horvat, or do they want to be patient and just see what happens in free agency?
Whoa! Look at Chewy. Look at this badass. Trade Larkin, sign him back.
Chewy, that only works with a video game. You can't do that.
Dan B. Yzerman doesn't deal for Horvat without knowing an extension is happening.
See, that's what Matt was kind of alluding to, and I was giving him some grief over it. I think that would be an important part. And then Jim Johnson saying if Horvat ends up as a rental on a playoff team, he may not sign an extension. A lot of them are up against the cap. So yeah, another important point to make there. And we're going to have like 40 mil open next season. It's a pretty wide open cap sheet. I know we got to account for Larkin and Bertuzzi, but
I do have cap friendly up. I haven't looked at that number in a little bit.
And then Dan B saying he has been given permissions given by the Canucks.
Right now, the Canucks said no, nobody can talk to Bo. They made a statement. Nobody's talking to Bo, which also was
ain't yo Bo no mo.
It was talked about by Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick, was that teams will find a way. Somebody will just find the agent, find the player while they're alone.
So
and they'll go, "Oh, fancy running into you," which I learned that this week. I thought was pretty cool. Which is kind of like learning all those things, which is where I was like, well, does Steve Yzerman like come out from under the Bruins? And he's like, hey, I'm not going to trade for you right now because I don't want to lose anything, but we're trying to build something here, buddy. You don't sign with Boston. You can come over here later.
And by the way, the projected cap space for next season is at, buckle in, $41 million. Obviously, 571,000. Obviously, it's a little misleading because we know that there's going to be money going Larkin's way, probably going Bertuzzi's way unless he gets traded. But I mean, those are your two big money guys, and then you got a lot to play with there. If you want to look at Bobo and I don't know, maybe Timo. I don't know, Matt.
It is interesting. The deadline cap space from Cap Friendly, the estimate is at 26 million right now. So they figure in when players are put on LTIR, and I don't know. It's like there's a savings that builds up, which I feel like I'm learning right now as I'm looking at Cap Friendly, and that would be a little extra space to play around with in case anybody was wondering how they get that done. Daniel's thrown out there. I believe I heard Vancouver did allow other teams to talk to Horvat. The thing I heard this morning was that they officially haven't allowed Bo or his agent to speak to anybody. Shane Barry, could Yzerman take Austin Matthews if he goes to trade next season if he doesn't get an all-star this year? I read that incorrectly. So if he doesn't get an all-star this year, is Yzerman? I think absolutely Yzerman would. I think he's in on everyone at all times, and I think all GMs are, right? I think they consider everything. But I think every GM would kind of play that game. There are a lot of things I would give up for Austin Matthews, and I'm sure Toronto, after they lose in the playoffs this year.
Can you imagine he'd be if he wasn't cursed by that jersey he's wearing? Woo! That's like 200 points and like 4 straight Stanley Cups. My God.
If you guys want any shot at Austin Matthews, you are rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round, and I will be. I don't hate the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of people do because they won a couple of cups in a row, and this would be, if they make it again, at least 4 Stanley Cup finals in a row. But something about Yzerman building that team that gives me the warm and fuzzies. But I'm rooting for Tampa just to see the absolute chaos and disaster that Toronto's front office will be, and their roster, and that I am all about. Um, Dan B, that sort of stuff costs you draft picks and fines. It's if you get caught. Talking about the running into players and agents. You got to think too. Like this stuff happens all the time. I never think like when teams get caught doing this kind of thing, it's because word has gotten around that teams are doing it, and so people start looking. Like that's when they start to like, all right, we got to clamp this shit down, and somebody's getting in trouble. So, anyways,
I
let's
mean,
go to the
it's all very
comments.
silly. Like most of the time, with when there's smoke with these rumors about where guys want to go and where they want to play, it's usually the agent getting that out there, and it's not like there's really handcuffs on the agent to not say my players. He grew up as a Red Wings fan, so then in trade negotiations, it can kind of be like, hey, you want to keep up with that offer? I know I got the Red Wings one on the back door, So I think it's very easy to circumnavigate essentially.
Danimals throws out there, Mike. You ask everyone for their opinion on the Bo Horvat trade. Definitely be patient and wait, in my opinion. So that's, of course, we could go back to what Vancouver's actually asking for. They don't want draft picks because they're retooling. They're not rebuilding, Mike. They want guys at the end of their ELCs. They want guys that have some established NHL backing to
Oof.
their career numbers so far.
So
A lot of people
wait, does
throw
that
it
mean my
in.
beloved Soderblom?
I absolutely think it does.
Damn it.
I think they probably see what Berggren's been doing so far this year and ask for him, and that would break me. Hronik is so the word on the street would be like 3 players. So you're probably looking at losing some guys you're really attached to, and it might be since they don't want the
I'm
younger
so attached to
prospects.
Ben Sherratt, Matt. You have no idea. Please don't take him, Vancouver.
Well, they're not asking your opinion right now, Mike.
Damn
I'm
it.
sure they're not listening. So let's see. If I look at this real quick, maybe you'd be lucky to like throw in Bertuzzi. I I'm okay. Bertuzzi, Hronik, bye bye. But yeah, you got to lose like a Berggren or a Soderblom. I got to think. Sorry, I can't imagine they're gonna want to.
I
They're gonna
can't
want to sniff
imagine
around
Steve,
Verana right
getting a
now.
rental. I, oof, man.
Maybe Albert Johansson has done enough. I mean, you probably want to get rid of some of these defensemen, right? Because you figure you've built a pretty good pool. It's the forwards I'd be scared to give away because you're just putting yourself in the deficit because it's already been the side that's been harder to draft. Shoot, and
Um,
then you've got Casper coming up. So how much do you really want to invest in a second line center when you're hoping Marco Casper is going to fill that role in a couple of years? Oh god, this is so hard. All right, we got an easier question. John wants to know, wondering about Adam Ernie. Think he stays or gets traded? I don't think anybody wants him. I think
yeah, you'd have to have a team that wants to give up something to get him, and I don't think that's going to be an issue if the Red Wings are making moves and picking people up. You'll probably be able to find him on the waiver wire. So I don't think you have to give up any assets to acquire him.
he's
So
and he's a UFA too. So we're Adam Ernie will be gone. Um,
yeah, nothing against him. He's Butters Stotch. He's the perfect little void filler until our prospects are ready or we acquire championship talent.
you know what? I can picture it though in the off season, seeing that come up on the dial. Adam Ernie, 1 year. You
9 mil. No, I'm
know.
just
You know what I mean? Like they're just hedging their bet. All right. Jim, throw it out there. Trade Bert and Ernie. Yeah, that'll get Horvat. Bert and Zadina for Horvat. I mean that. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Go for it.
I
Who
mean,
says no? Vancouver says no. Performance art. Matthews will let Toronto go. Very interesting. Danby, Zadina, Veleno, Rasmussen for Horvat, and a second. Oh man, Vancouver, hell no, they are not doing that at all. That's my. I'm not giving this much thought, but I gotta think. I would do that in a heartbeat as Steve Yzerman. If they were calling right now, going, "Hey, those, those guys that struggle to like find a spot on your team."
The healthy scratch guy, your fourth line center, and your third line center, sometimes wing because he's not quite there yet. How about that for our top center? And you can slot him at number 2. And what the hell? We'll throw in a pretty good draft pick.
I know.
Who
I love
says
you, Dan.
no?
You're crazy, Dan. Get out of here.
I like it. I like it for us.
97 won the ticket to the Tigers trade deadline move.
Can we throw in Fabry and get Pettersson? Is that too much?
We're being too mean to Dan. I just don't. They're looking for those Berggrens. They're looking for the guys that you guys are in love with right now. But you're fast. You're hoping you're making that decision, right? You're fast forwarding the Yzer plan, our wait here, which feels like, God, what?
Well, that's what. Okay.
Dad says sorry, been drinking. It's okay, buddy. I don't think we went too hard. We were too mean.
Dan, I don't even drink, and I mispronounce every other player's name. I call half the guy Samuelson. Irvine Poker.
Irvine. Yeah, asking for Edmondson. That's not outside of the realm.
That's a short phone call, my friend. Click.
Yeah, that's true. They can ask for him.
No, but as far as talking about the 4D chess and how enamored we are of the Dancing Bear, Berggren, and Soderblom, 4D chess, Matt, were they just getting cameos so they could get audition tapes for Yzerman to send them out for trade feelers? And Yzerman's much more enamored of other prospects that we have. I don't know. I mean, we just like him because we saw a few games of him on TV and they were okay a few times.
Well,
like what if it's Jacob? What if it's the Detroit Tigers Jacob Turner syndrome? Oh, what a prospect! Oh, he had like one good start and his ERA's under 5, and then you just trade him for a real player, in Miguel Cabrera.
But yeah, all those World Series championships really worked out. No, I know what you're saying, but like Berggren, to me, like you're looking at a guy who's like we said it a while ago, like that guy's good to go, shipped and like he's turnkey. He's a player that is ready. You're not adding anything to it. You see this guy making these cross-ass passes.
I hope that sticks. I like cross-ass passes. Yeah.
So he's got his cheeks squished. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, that's enough.
It's a bad improv. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, last night it was something where Berggren's almost just playing around and getting these passes to Perron, getting him over to Lucas Raymond, whoever he's on the ice with. He just finds anyone, and also how many times have we shown a highlight where Berggren's always in the right exact spot he needs to be to pick up a rebound and slap one in the back of the net. He's got great awareness for his age, which is obviously just going to get better, and the type of game that he's playing as a playmaker will just get better as he starts to figure out more and more what this league is all about. So I don't know. It's not like Jacob Turner where we drafted him high. We haven't seen him yet. And it could go wrong. Like Berggren, we've seen him. It looks good. Soderblom, if we were honest, Mike, would you rather have Soderblom or Berggren? I'd rather have Berggren.
I pick Soderblom.
Right
hey!
All right.
Wait a minute. Well, this is the Soderblom program, Matt. I don't know what you're going on about. I just want to put that thought in your guys' heads that Yzerman playing the 4D chess. It might be a showcase for these guys to be available in trades. Jim Johnson throwing the gauntlet down, saying, "How about Verana? I wonder what Detroit will plan for him." Well, he's obviously not getting traded since he is available for free and nobody wanted him. I think that all they can really do is wait and see if he figures it out because they're still going to be on the hook for this year's salary and next year.
Yeah, man, did you see that video? I think it's like Access Hockey Michigan. I don't know. They asked him like the worst question in the world, and you could see it like broke him. And this is a guy who's dealing with so many mental issues. I was like, what are you asking him that for? But
Do you remember the question?
yeah, clearly he's struggling, but they like he hadn't scored a goal yet when they asked him this, and they were like, "Do you think you've done enough to get called up?" And Verana like smiled when he turned to them to take the question, and then he just was like just stared off, and I was like, "Oh, buddy." Like he's struggling. We could see, and he's doing much better right now. Like now we're seeing some goals going in. We're seeing Verana skate better. This was before that, and I was, oh my god, I was crushed. I do think one more week, like we've seen from Verana, and maybe the production goes up. That conversation of him coming back up can get hot again. But probably until that happens, what Verana's answer was is it's not my choice anyway. I do what I'm told to do. I'm going to play my best, and then hopefully things will work out, is what his answer was, as he was crushed. Oh, my God. I can't believe somebody would ask him that with, at the time, was like 1 goal in like 8 games and being scratched a couple times. I just was like, why would you ask him that?
Yeah,
what do you want him to say?
I mean, there's not a lot you can really ask him. You know, hey, you had a good practice recently. You know,
Yeah.
you're kind of in that arena. We're paying you $5 million. You might have to answer a tough question, and you know, I don't know what it's going to take to get that spark going in him again. But I can't hate the guy for asking. I can't hate him.
Yeah, I guess not. I just.
I mean, we're at a dozen games? Over a dozen games? Grand
Yeah,
Rapids?
it's just. I mean, this is a guy who struggled with a lot so far this year, so it's like you want him to say out loud, "No, I suck, man. I fucking blow." Clearly, I took a huge mental hit, and it's gonna take a lot for me to come back. It's like, what was the answer you were looking for there? That's why I'm like, oh, what the fuck, man?
I know. We're very
Ask him
protective of
about
our
his
guys.
routine.
Like, who's that bozo asking Larkin about his contract right before the game started?
Biz, Paul
Yeah,
Bissonnette.
Biz on. Yeah.
Douchebag. All right, we need to wrap up. I said Verana would be the last subject.
Not a friend of the show, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh, Biz. Yeah, you know what? He did retweet us once.
Friend of the show. Everything he says is really smart.
All right. Official stance on Bo Horvat. I think it's an interesting. If that is the vision of the Yzer plan, to like build up 2 really solid top lines, and then you just cross your fingers that your super duper star comes along. I don't hate it. And that's. I guess I'm not gonna be angry if we trade for Bo, but I think we talked about Bo Horvat like a month ago when Vancouver first started struggling, and I immediately was like, nah, I'm good. And I think I need to land on that. But also, if we do trade for him, since we're listed as one of 2 teams interested, I'm not going to be angry.
We're trading for a 28-year-old guy in a contract year having the best year of his life when he's never really had these numbers before. So he's got best case scenario. He'll replicate them for 2 to 3 years. Is that worth giving up a couple of, like the Dancing Bear, a draft pick, and I don't know, Hronik, who, was it Jay Fresh, who had him worth $9 million a year? Who was it? Dom Luszczyszyn?
That was Dom, yeah.
Yeah. Yzerman, I don't know if he's really big on the sizzle. So I would be shocked if we traded like current NHLers and prospects that we already love for this guy. I would think that they're going to wait till the offseason, kind of see where the chips fall, because they're probably not a player away. They're probably 2 to 3 players away from making noise in the playoffs. So him on his own does not do enough. So it would be a very shocking move to get Bo.
All right. Guys, we will see you later. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hit that like button if you've got a second right now. And, of course, if you guys are listening to us on, I think it's right below Mike over there.
Not that way so much. Hold on. Not that way so much. That way so much.
Yeah. Hit that like button. Hit the thumbs up.
Yeah.
The thumbs up button.
Yeah. Every time you do, I'll giggle.
Wait, where's my mouse? We're getting... That's the thumb down button, right, Chewy? Chewy throws out there. Come on, guys, smash that like button. Thanks, Chewy. Dan B, great show, boys. Get healthy, Matt.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan, I love you, man. I appreciate you wishing.
Jared, can you send me some well wishes? I'm feeling a little sprightly. Yeah.
Unlike Jared, who likes wishing Mike well while he.
I appreciate it, Jared. I can't say it enough. Yeah.
Life of leisure over there in Dylan Larkin's hometown. Piece of.
Throw your dubs up for the Waterford. That's what they say. Thanks, Jared.
Damn it, Jared.
That's my guy over there.
All right.
Jared,
see you guys.
Yep, we'll get each other Photoshop sweatshirts.
Week. I don't know what that was so clunky. All right, toodaloo.
We'll see you later. We'll see you some other time.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Jobin. Let's go.